Living in the let go, living in truth. So what is the truth? That we are all made in the image and likeness of pure spirit, that there is one power, one presence in, through, and as all creation. It transcends all creation and yet is fully and completely each and every one of us all of the time. And what does that mean? That means that we are the centers of pure, unconditional, unlimited, infinite love. We are the place of peace, grace, harmony, beauty, all of the time. That there's nothing that we need to change, there's nothing we need to fix, there's nothing we need to make happen for this to be the truth of who we are. It already is who we are. In that reading this morning, Howard Thurman asks, I want to be more loving in my heart. Excuse me. And the truth is we are already love in our heart. It already is there. All the love that we ever have strived for or wanted for or want to get already is fulfilled within us now. What's blocking us are all those layers that we've added on so we get more attached and identified with the layers of our personality, of our story, of our history, than with the absolute eternal nature of our being. I think sort of symbolically that's what the whole Adam and Eve thing was, that they already were in the Garden of Eden, but when they stopped seeing from that place, they had to add on the fig leaves, they had to add on the layers of protection to save ourselves from a seemingly frightening world, a world that could hurt us, that can endanger us. What Jesus the Christ said when he was here on earth, he said, be in the world but not of the world. Because this love, this peace, this joy, this harmony is not of the world. This eternal love. This isn't human love. This is spiritual love. It is so far beyond anything we could ever humanly imagine. One thing about reading all the mystics of all these different religions and spiritual paths continue just to get to when you get to this point of being who we already are, they run out of language. They just come up with every amazingly high adjective that they can come up with to try to describe this thing that is beyond description of the love and the joy and the peace and the creativity and the harmony and the beauty. And the journey to get there is about letting go, to not be in the world. And yet, we still are engaged in the world. And I would say most of us, I hear it all the time, well, I still have things left I have to do when I'm here. Before I leave this planet, I have things I have to do. There's things that I really need to have in order to be happy here, to be fulfilled here. There's really things so it's do, have, express, create. So there's something that keeps us attached to the world here. And the moment we say, well, I just need this one thing, we're right back in the world of duality. We're right back being in the world. And that's why we're here. We're here because there's still these attachments that we have, these resistances that we have that keep us energetically connected and bonded to this world. So most of us are still, there's different degrees of everything, but are still in the world as well as we're not just be in the world, but not of the world. Many of us are in the world, but we're also of the world. So we go on this spiritual journey to let go. And it's, as Ramana Maharshi said, there are very few people who can let go instantly and immediately. And that's usually an instant death of some kind. Ramana Maharshi himself he went up to a hill when he was 14 and just laid there until all the layers got peeled away. And he never left that hill. He became free of this world. He saw it for what it was, never got engaged in the world again. We see that with Jesus going off to the 40 days in the desert. Buddha standing under the Bodhi tree. Those are short periods of time where the idea is that, well, even, this is what I love about the story of Jesus. Not only, he got enlightened after the 40 days, but then later on he had the transfiguration on the Mount of Transfiguration. And then later on he has the crucifixion. So it's never ending. This letting go of layers. We are ever evolving soul. There's always something else there. But we want to let go as much as we possibly can, and that's the invitation for this month, is to really set your intention for the month of March, or if you do Lent, for the 40 days, to just let go. To be willing to let go and just be your naturally spiritual essence as much as we can. What we find, however, is that things don't always turn out the way we think because we're attached or because we have layers. One of the things that came up this week over and over in different conversations was how long this journey is. Meaning, often when we're on this journey, we have things that we want, and we're thinking usually in the immediate sense, right now. I need to have this now, I need to shift this now, I need to change this energy now, I need to make this happen now. But as I've looked at people's lives and been in conversations with people who have known for decades, that things unfold in God's timing. I mean, we look at nature. Nature didn't just get here, well, according to the Bible, it got here in a day, but in general, in a week. But in general, we look at the process of evolution, it's millions of years, and human beings have been here a very short time. That spiritual evolution takes a long time. So part of this living in the let go is living in the let go of our attachment to it has to happen now, in the way that I want it to be. The living in the let go is we are no longer in control. And that becomes scary. We have to really trust that this presence is good and it is leading us. I was just having a conversation with my friend Stephanie Clark. She left Los Angeles back in 1999. She had come over, she was born in England, but grew up, spent her adult years in South Africa, well, everywhere, but in South Africa. And then she came here to become a New Thought minister. Ended up taking her a lot longer because she did 2 different programs. And then she left in 1999 to start a CSL in Johannesburg, South Africa. And her vision that came was to have it be a diverse center where blacks and whites, this is after apartheid, could come together and worship together. She left in 1999, and she created the Soul Home in Johannesburg, and was successful. It's a very diverse community. And she gave herself to it, and for 5 years really gave herself, but often what happens, for anyone who's ever been in ministries, is stuff happens. Conflict, upset. We're all healing, we're all going through our processes. So after 5 years, she left. She went back to England. She became part of an organization that sells English programs to schools. And she loves traveling, has always been a world traveler. She speaks 5 languages. So she got to live the way she really loved living, which is traveling all the time. Japan, we'd Skype, she'd be on an organic farm in Slovenia. I mean, she was everywhere. So Austria, she was having the time of her life completely in those conversations, no sense of returning to ministry. Still doing her own work of healing what had happened, but also who was she now? So she was enjoying her life and then continuing to grow, started writing books. And now, fast forward, she's presently back in Johannesburg. Her mom lives there and her mom needs her help, so she's living with her mom, caring for her mom, being a minister at the place that she started 19, 20 years ago. The practitioner who took over when she left, he became a minister. They get along great. They have co-created, they're now co-ministering this soul home community, still very diverse. The vision is still absolutely flourishing. She didn't need to be holding on to it, making it happen. The vision was alive. She had done her inner work, released a lot of stuff, so now it's nothing but joy. She's just finished another book. This month, Reverend Yvette Flunder, Bishop Yvette Flunder, who was just here in Oakland, speaking at Banter. Stephanie's going to be on a panel speaking with her, being one of the speakers at that panel. Reverend Michael's coming. She'll be speaking at that conference. I mean, her ministry is flourishing, but it was in letting it go. She wasn't trying to force herself into being a place where she wasn't ready to be at a point. There is a challenge to all of us that when we are on our spiritual journey and say yes to it, often very uncomfortable things happen in our life. Because if we were already enlightened, we would already be a Ramana Maharshi or a Yogananda, but most of us are not there yet. So we have stuff and it hurts. I think one of the greatest misconceptions about being on the spiritual journey is that when we give our life to spirit, it's going to be nothing but roses and sunshine. See, she's been on you can tell she's been on the journey a long time. That when we surrender our life to spirit, when we let go, only good things are going to come. I have to say, I thought that, because that was sort of the message. Surrender your life and the infinite goodness of God will pour through you and everything will work out for your highest good. But all the other stuff started showing up too, or it was leading me in ways that made me, Spirit was like, no, you have these blocks, you don't even know you have them, so I'm going to put you in circumstances and conditions that are going to let you see things that are blocking you from the true essence of who you are, and that's going to be uncomfortable, and you're not going to like seeing it, and you're not going to feel good, and you're not going to feel relaxed, and you're not going to be like, oh, this is all great. Say, I prefer ignorance, thank you. Because sometimes people who are ignorant seem like they're having a much better time than I'm having. But this is the nature of letting go, and the commitment is to stay with it. Because the expectation, I struggled for a while because I thought, well, the expectation was, what I heard was, if I surrendered my life, I would only feel nothing but good, everything would work out perfectly, and that's not what's happening. I could stop doing my spiritual practices or stop giving my life to the true essence of who I am. But when we recognize that what we're doing is the old stuff is being burnt away, the old blocks, the bad habits, the limitations are being burned away, or our identification with them. Sometimes we still have them, we just don't identify them with them as strongly as we once did. And we become freer and freer and happier, not because of the world out there. I think the misconception is what's going to bring us joy. We'll know we're in spiritual alignment when we have all the external things that we want. But we can have all the external things that we want and still not be free inside. Remember, Jesus said it was the wealthy people the rich people were going to have the hardest time. Because the identity can be with pleasure. Oh, I have a lot of pleasure in my life. That means my life is good. That pleasure is all temporary. Our eternal nature is beyond anything that this world can give. Again, Yogananda says it a lot, but a lot of the spiritual teachers say that when we have experienced the divine presence within us, when we have experienced the pure love, the vibrant joy, the everlasting peace within us that is not of this world, the pleasures of this world don't even come close in comparison. They don't even attract us anymore. They don't even tempt us anymore because this joy is so great. And so there's this fire and this hunger to seek to be what we already are all of the time. And the only way to do that is to let go, to let go, to let go, and to let go. I was thinking about the reading today by Dr. Howard Thurman. Dr. Howard Thurman was a professor among other things, at Boston University, where I went. So I've gotten to read his stuff. On the 5th floor of the library, they have his letters, and Martin Luther King, who also went to BU's Theological Seminary. And it's great. I mean, the papers Martin Luther King wrote, even in school, were stunning. Howard Thurman spent time over in India, and that's a whole incredible, interesting experience as well. I remember one of the things the Indians, who were primarily Hindu and Muslim, were asking him, why have you taken on the religion of your masters? You know, the Christian people have been abusing you, the people of color. Why would you then, when in your freedom, choose that same religion? Come be a Hindu and Muslim. But that was a question that Howard Thurman had to work with. But he knew what Jesus taught, and he knew that the interpretation that had been used to be okay with slavery was a misinterpretation of who and what Jesus was and is. He was inspired by what Mahatma Gandhi did, and Mahatma Gandhi certainly was inspired by Jesus. Love your enemies, turn the other cheek, nonviolence. So he came back and he was inspiring Martin Luther King. You need to walk in this path of nonviolence. Some of you may not know, Martin Luther King, before he took on the mantle of nonviolence, he had a gun in his home. That was the way, in this human world, you protect yourself. In the human world, we do all sorts of things to protect ourselves, and it makes total rational sense. This is a violent world. As he gave up violence, or he wasn't being violent, it was for protection. Even as he gave up the guns, it didn't mean people stopped calling his family and threatening them. In fact, that probably increased. But now he was standing in nonviolence. Now he was standing in loving your enemies. He was shifting his whole consciousness of how to resist. What I love about people, the way Gandhi interpreted the Bhagavad Gita, it's not just about this external warfare, it's about our internal warfare. We have habit patterns, we have limitations, we have ways of seeing the world, we have all these layers that we're talking about letting go. They can seem like our enemy when we're trying to just let go and be our true self. How are we going to respond to those things within us that want to hurt us? Not violently, but through continuing bad habits, through continuing old ways of thinking, continuing things that no longer serve us. Feeling like we're not worthy, feeling that we're not enough, all these old belief systems, they can seem like they're almost living when we try to let those things go. They become more activated. I think two of the things that stand out in both those movements are when has anyone seen the movie Gandhi? A lot of you are shaking your head yes, some or no. Unfortunately, I've seen it several times, but it's been a while. I remember the emotion of one of the scenes, and I can't speak to the details of it. There was the British officers lined up, and then there were the Indians all wearing white, resisting something, and they were coming forward. There's like 5 in a line, and they would come forward, and the British officers would beat them down, the nurses would pull them off, and then another wave would come. And I remember the reporter in the movie saying, and wave after wave just kept coming and coming, and they would beat them down, and the next wave would come. And what stood out, why that impacts us, is because the beingness, this love that is not of this world, is more powerful than anything that this world can dish out. It has never hurt, harmed, or endangered, ever. We feel vulnerable, but that which is vulnerable is temporary. Spirit is never vulnerable. Spirit is always being itself. And to watch the power of just standing, not resisting, not fighting back, not attacking, just standing in the beingness and the truth of who we are as human beings is so ultimately, over time, the most powerful thing that we could ever do for ourselves and for the world. And then to see that again being lived out here in the civil rights movement. Again, one of the images in my mind was in a PBS documentary series of even training people how to resist nonviolently. I was so impacted by that. I always saw the actual action, but I never thought the training that had to go into that. So they would sit them down and they would yell every epithet at them. They would throw food at them. And the practice was just to stay in your presence, to stay in basically our eternal self, our true being, and let all this stuff come at us and not be moved, to not fight back, to not, as we heard in the reading today, not to fight back with words of anger and frustration, but to stand in our eternal self. That's the way I see it, the standing. And so then we see them actually living that out, where the food is being thrown at them, horrible things are being said as they sit at the lunch counter, and they stand or sit in their eternal truth. And what has more power? The reason why this works is because the power of our eternal being, the power of love that was sitting there, is far more powerful than any of the violence. And the people who are perpetrating the violence, the truth is this, the truth of their being is pure love too. So there's something in them that is getting impacted, that by not getting the anger fought back at them, they're being impacted as well. Their soul is being shaken up to be in the presence of pure love that will not be moved. And so as we're releasing and letting go this month and choosing to let go of things, what we may find, I certainly find it, is that those old ideas start coming back at me and they start barbing me. The image of them sitting at the lunch counter, it feels like that. All they had to do was get up and walk out and be in an all-black diner, and all the discomfort would be gone. They chose discomfort to be free, to become free, to show who they really are to themselves in all situations and circumstances. But they could have stopped the outward pain at any point by going into their own diner, no one's abusing them. When we want to become more of our true self, this is in every path, by the way. Things start jabbering away at us. Just go back. You can do it. It won't hurt, just for a day. You can go back and be your true self tomorrow. Make yourself comfortable today. Indulge in your bad habit. Indulge in your thinking that is serving you feeling comfortable and familiar. I know who I am. This is just who I am, and just do it. And the more we stand in our truth, the more intense the opposite is going to start coming at us. And that's this incredible growth. And it's very hard. That's why this takes a long time to really continue to return again and again and again to the infinite truth that we are, and allow all of this stuff that has taken years and years to build up, so it's not going away tomorrow. It's not going to go away with one moment. As we see, we're still dealing with so much racism today. It doesn't go away overnight. This is a long journey. Our commitment is to take a stand in our eternal light and our eternal love, because that is more powerful than any condition. And in the midst of all the things coming at us, whether it's friends and family, is literally external or it's just external in our minds, to continue to breathe. To love our enemies, to not engage, to not fight back, to turn the other cheek to all those thoughts. My eternal love. And from that place, we become freer and freer and freer. And we know the truth that sets us free. We become that loving heart that Howard Thurman wrote about today. We become who we always already are, because the layers have fallen away. And that's when life does start to flow. Whatever the situations and circumstances, they will never own us, ever, our true self. And that's when we are truly free, and that's why we are here. That's this whole entire journey. So my invitation for you this month, and if you do Lent for the 40 days, if you want to be like Buddha and sit under the Bodhi tree, all of that was about letting go. They didn't do anything. That's why I love those two images. They weren't doing anything. Sitting at the lunch counter, sitting in the desert, sitting under a Bodhi tree. They're not fighting. They're not trying to make anything happen. It's all about letting go, letting the layers go, letting the attachments go, letting the resistances and the fear go. Just standing day by day, breath by breath, in time and space from an eternal identity. So as you're in work, and you have all these tasks to do, and you have deadlines, and you have colleagues that trigger you, or bosses, or clients that trigger you, or family members, or friends that trigger you, to make a stand for your eternal self, and just breathe through it. Don't fight it. Don't resist it. Don't push back. Don't attack. Just stand in the truth of the pure love that you are, because that is more powerful than anything else in your life. One in God is a majority. One in the truth of your being is the most powerful place from which we can stand day in and day out. So let's release and let it go and be the magnificent beings that we always already are. Let's pray. So we begin with I release and I let go. We begin with, often the end of our affirmative prayer will begin with that. We just let go. We let go of all our personal agendas, all the ways that we think things should look, all the conditions and circumstances that we think will keep us protected and safe and comfortable. We just let all of that go. All of those things that we think we have to have, we let go. All the things that we think we have to have, we let go. All the things that we think we have to have, we let go. For we do not need anything. It has all already been given. It all already is. There is nowhere to look. There is nowhere to turn. It is all right here in the midst of us, in the center of our being. The wholeness and the perfection of pure spirit always already is. All the love that has ever been and ever will be is right here, right now, in this moment. Our eternal self, our eternal being. This vast oceanic love, joy, peace, harmony, grace that is beyond what we could ever humanly describe is fully alive and activated as each and every one of us right here in this room. It breathes us. It thinks us. It speaks us. It lives as us. It is all that we are, and we are its divine flow in, through, and as all creation all of the time. So we breathe that in. We can never be outside of our true essence. And even as we know this about our life, we know this about all life. All life, the true essence is this purity of love, of peace, of harmony, of joy, of abundance, of creativity. All that the divine is, all life is. And so that as we stand in the truth of who we are, we radiate and pulsate and resonate with all that God is as all creation. We are in communion with the divine everywhere we turn, whether it is towards nature, whether it is towards our neighbors, our family members, our colleagues, our work life, our to-do lists, are the things we have to do with work, the material world. All aspects is God in form. And we live from that eternal essence and see the eternal essence of everything, of everything. We are no longer fooled by appearances of time and space. We live in the world, but we are not of the world. We are absolutely free right here and right now in unlimited, infinite, oceanic good, infinite possibilities. Every moment, breathing themselves as new life and new ways of being in, through, and as each and every one of us. We celebrate this new life that is birthing itself through our openness, through our availability, through its willingness to express in new ways, in healthy ways, in kind and generous ways, in, through, and as was, in ways that we could not imagine. I give thanks that each and every one of us are standing and opening and expanding into a divine expression that we cannot even begin to imagine. It is unfolding now, and we let go of how, we let go of the when, we let go of all the form aspect of it, and we just know the truth. The God truth of our reason for being here, our work life, our financial life, our relationship life, our physical health, our emotional health, our mental health, on every aspect of this beautiful world, we turn it over and we give it up and we give it back to the true essence of who and what we are. We live from our eternal self. We take a stand in each and every moment, in each and every breath, in the truth of who we are, and we let everything else go. All our attachments, all our identities, all our resistances, we just choose to let it go. And from that place, we know the true joy of being made in the image and likeness of pure spirit. We are free, we are free, we are free. To God be the glory. I release this word now in infinite oceanic gratitude, knowing that as this word has been felt, known, and experienced and accepted, it is done here and now. We release it, we let it be, and we say together,